It began quietly, the kind of rumor that hides in corners of locker rooms and front offices, whispered between scouts and agents late at night. Lexi Ho's name had begun floating around the league like a leaf caught in an unexpected breeze. She wasn't injured. She hadn't fallen out with coaches. Her professionalism was spotless. Yet somehow, word spread that Indiana was open to offers. The Fever were hunting for more perimeter scoring, trying to give Caitlin Clark space to operate. Hull's defense was elite, but her shooting had been streaky, and in a league where spacing determines everything, she suddenly looked expendable. A few teams, reportedly from the Western Conference, Phoenix or Dallas, depending on who you asked, made calls. Simple, routine trade talks. A player-for-player swap, or maybe a low-round draft pick. It was business as usual. But then, just as quickly as it started, it all vanished. Phones stopped ringing. Negotiations froze mid-sentence. One day the talks were active. The next, it was as if the whole thing had never happened. No press leaks. No follow-ups. No sources close to the team. It was as though someone, somewhere, had pulled the plug. Inside Indiana's organization, confusion turned into speculation. Who had the authority to shut down a deal like that? Some looked toward the front office, others toward ownership. But as whispers turned into careful conversations, a new theory began to surface, one that linked everything back to Caitlin Clark's camp. To understand how such a thing could even happen, you have to understand the scale of Caitlin Clark's world. She's not just a rookie, she's a business empire. Behind every highlight and post-game smile is a complex network. Agents, PR strategists, sponsorship consultants, media analysts, all orbiting around one of the most marketable athletes women's basketball has ever seen. Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, Wilson, all have a piece of her brand. Every quote, every photo, every commercial is measured against a global image that's worth millions. When word reached that Lexi Hull might be traded, it wasn't seen as a roster tweak. It was viewed as a potential disruption to the narrative, because Lexi Ho wasn't just a teammate. She was part of the story, one of the few players who complemented Clark's public persona. Wholesome, driven, and relatable. Together, they had become a kind of marketing dream. Interviews showed them laughing side by side. Community outreach clips went viral, and fans had started calling them Indiana's Golden Duo. They weren't just teammates. They were visual proof that Clark brought out the best in others. So, when Clark's management reportedly caught wind of the trade chatter, they stepped in quietly. They didn't storm offices or issue ultimatums. They simply made their concerns known, firmly but respectfully. And that was enough. Within a day, trade discussions stopped. Calls went unanswered. The file was closed. The message was clear. If the move threatened the chemistry or image that had made Indiana's brand shine, it wasn't worth the risk. For owner Steve Simon, this wasn't just about basketball anymore. It was business. Clark's presence had transformed the Fever from a rebuilding team into a revenue machine. Merchandise sales, ticket demand, national broadcasts. Everything had exploded. For the first time in years, Indiana was the center of the WNBA universe. And when your franchise's success is tied to a single player's brand, you protect it at all costs. Coach Stephanie White, however, reportedly didn't see it that way. She valued structure, performance, and growth. The idea that roster decisions might be influenced by marketing optics didn't sit right. But in this new landscape, her voice was secondary. Clark wasn't just a player anymore. She was a movement. And movements, by their nature, change how rules work. Inside the locker room, reactions were mixed. Some saw what happened as an act of loyalty, a superstar protecting her teammate, standing up for someone she trusted. Others, however, viewed it as a dangerous precedent. A few veterans privately expressed concern that favoritism had entered the building. If certain players became untouchable, what did that mean for everyone else fighting for minutes? The tension lingered quietly in the air, the kind that doesn't explode but seeps into the rhythm of practices and team meetings. Meanwhile, Lexi Hull said nothing. No subtle social media posts. No interviews. No cryptic captions. She just worked. Her practice intensity increased. Her defense grew even sharper. And soon it showed. Her minutes started climbing again. her presence on the court undeniable. Clark began publicly praising her in interviews, calling her a difference maker, a spark. Suddenly, Keep Lexie began trending among Fever fans. Local news anchors ran features on their chemistry. What was once trade speculation had transformed into a redemption narrative, and that transformation didn't happen by chance. It was brand management at its most effective. League insiders couldn't ignore the implications. If one player's circle could influence front office decisions, even subtly, what did that mean for league balance? The WNBA has always thrived on the promise of parity. Every team, regardless of market size, given a fair shot. But Clark's influence blurred that line. As one executive reportedly put it, this wasn't a bad problem to have. Superstars draw eyes and dollars, but it was a new problem. If her management team could shape one trade, what else could they sway in the future? Still, for all the politics and power plays, nobody could deny the results. The Fever began winning more consistently. Their defense improved. Their chemistry strengthened. Fans packed arenas, not just to watch basketball, but to witness the phenomenon that was Caitlin Clark and the energy she created around everyone near her. Behind the scenes, however, the organization had changed. Every decision, lineups, PR campaigns, even press access, started running through a new filter. How does this align with Clark's image? Staff learned to tread carefully, to coordinate every move with her branding team. It wasn't an official policy, but it might as well have been. The Fever were no longer just managing a team. They were managing an empire, and Caitlin Clark sat at the center of it. Was it control? Was it loyalty? Maybe both. Clark has always been fiercely protective of her circle, and Lexi Ho is clearly part of that inner trust. From Iowa to Indiana, she's built her reputation not only on skill but on relationships, staying close to those who believe in her, supporting them in return. On one hand, that's admirable. On the other, it's power, and power has consequences. Lexi Hull's value rose overnight. She went from potential trade chip to a cornerstone of the Caitlin culture. And the Fever learned an unspoken rule. No decision that affects Clark's world happens without her circle's awareness. Whether through official meetings or whispered phone calls, her influence is ever present. The story isn't just about one player stopping a trade. It's about the moment a league began to pivot. The NBA once had its own version of this, when stars like LeBron James began shaping rosters through influence rather than contracts. Now, the WNBA faces the same evolution, accelerated by social media, brand partnerships, and a global spotlight it's never had before. Caitlin Clark represents that change. She's not just rewriting record books. She's rewriting how the game itself is structured. Her brand decisions ripple through the league. Her friendships become franchise considerations. Her image management shapes the business strategies of those around her. And whether the world calls it manipulation or loyalty, the truth is simpler. She's learned to use her power. Indiana's identity has shifted from team first to brand first. And that transformation began with a single trade that never happened. For some, it's a sign of the future, a player-led era where influence equals currency. For others, it's a warning about the cost of power in a sport built on equality. But either way, Caitlin Clark's name now carries weight that stretches far beyond the court. Because when one player's loyalty can reshape an entire franchise's direction, it's no longer just basketball. It's strategy, image, and quiet domination. Lexi Ho's story may have started with trade rumors, but ended with revelation. In the modern WNBA, friendship and power are two sides of the same coin. And Caitlin Clark just showed everyone how to flip it perfectly.